Pitt struggled the last couple of weeks on offense with the freshman at quarterback. How much does who plays quarterback and Pickett's able to play or yelling dictates what you do schematically on defense, or does it?
I think based on who the quarterback is, that's usually a starting point of how you think you need to defend people. But in their case, the offense hasn't changed dramatically, but obviously, I think Kenny Pickett's one of the top quarterbacks in the country. I think he does a really good job. Yellen's a freshman that, has tried to develop. I'm sure the bye week has helped him. So, it changes, it just like, even more drastically if a tailback isn't playing or a wideout or a tight end. It all goes into making sure you put the plan together to defend who that offense is. I don't think their offense changes dramatically schematically, but how it's executed in the things that happen with the quarterback position, obviously there is a change there.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Aaron.
Gantman in here earlier, and he made it sound like that last week in practice that there was a little bit more energy and guys were having fun. And was that something that you guys, as a coaching staff, tried to foster after the first half of the season, or did that just kind of happen organically? I
think it happens organically. Success is when the work is fun. And if you can always there's a certain amount of work you got to put into anything to have success. And when you can get caught up in the work and not just the end result, that's when you get better faster. And so, maybe that's a product of that. Hopefully that continues. It's good to hear BG say that. But I think you really hit the success mark when they show up to work, whatever the profession here, football, you show up to work and you're engaged on what you got to do from a practice standpoint because it's going to help you improve. And regardless of the result, you're still caught up in that. And when you can smile on the face of that work, you're making strides because getting better is part of what your process is. And I think that's the end aim with all of us.
Hey, Coach, your defense on average has given up 208 yards per game rushing. What do you attribute to that, and how can you get corrected?
Yeah, it's obviously not something we're proud of, Antoine. And, in order to stop the run, sometimes guys make plays and they're not in the right place, and you say, great play, and you're trying to correct it. Sometimes guys are right in the right fit and miss a tackle, whatever that is. So I wish it was like, hey, Antoine, when we're in this coverage, this is what the issue was. We just won't play that coverage anymore. Or when we bring this blitz, it's not going to work anymore, so we're going to just take that out. There's some of that, but more of it is just the consistency of the guys that we have on the field, making sure that we're fitting things the way it needs to get fitted. And then when we're in position that we're able to tackle the ball better. Missed tackles lead to big plays. But usually if you pursue the ball with right angles, missed tackles, you can get the ball down. So, Antoine, it's been multiple different things. I wish it could just be a certain call because we wouldn't call it anymore. But the consistency or the lack thereof of the fits within playing it and some of the missed tackles, are really things that are just things that create missed gaps or missed tackles in the run game. And you play a good back and a 5-yard run goes for 50, that's going to kill how you play defense. And, that's happened a lot. There's been some plays that we feel really good about. There's some plays we've absolutely either cut a gap, missed free, missed a tackle, you name it. There's a lot of things that go into Antoine, but run defense is team defense. And when you're not playing good run defense, it's an absolute reflection on how that group is playing together. And that's my job to make sure that wall gets built in a better way. And then when they're in position, make sure I put the right guys on the field that make the play so they can develop some confidence in doing it more. Hey, Aslan.
Offensively, he didn't install one single new play. For them, it was kind of focusing on what they know they can do right now well and getting better at it. And defensively, how did you guys try to utilize the off-week goals, kind of the overarching theme, do you think, to your play?
Well, it started with just when we went against the offense, it was about playing some of the base calls and getting them to feel comfortable. You look at the reps of calls because we track everything we do, and some of the base things we do, you want to hit a certain mark during the season in practice. The number of times you rep that call, the number of times you repped it against all the looks that you've been getting, and those numbers got to continue to go up because you can't replace the experience without just the reps and the experience. So it's been trying to play a lot of the base calls more so our guys continue to feel comfortable because, on defense, you could say what the call is, but you don't dictate what the look's going to be. So if you put in one call, you just got to make sure they're seeing all the pictures so it doesn't become slow for them, which when they do that and operate in a slower way, that creates some of the questions that we had in the run defense as far as this formation, I fit it like this play happens, now I got to be outside the block and then having the confidence to be able to tackle the ball too. So, we've got some guys back, like BG starting to play now. So we took some guys like that haven't been playing and tried to catch them up to give them those pictures and those looks again. So we tried not to introduce a lot of new things, Aslan, if that was the question, and try to get better at some base fundamental things that we know we need to do better.
Yeah, I was going to follow up on Brendan. Coach Norvell said that, coming back from his injury during the offseason, that you're starting to see kind of what you maybe hoped to see or expected to see out of Brendan. In what ways are you seeing that? In what ways has he emerged back into a key player?
Well, with his injury and his lack of training for that 3 months or whatever that was, when we started the season, he was on zero training at that point. And his body wasn't ready for it, and with the COVID time away, and then you add that to it. He was very underdeveloped, and he would tell you that too. So, really it was like we had to be careful put him out there because he would take steps back. So, he's still not where he needs to be or wants to be, but at least there's been a foundation with Coach Storms of some training now. So there's some foundation that you feel safe enough to put him out there. I think he's skilled. I think he brings a level of physicality, but we need to build that foundation of just his physical development so that when he was playing, it actually mattered how he played because there could be some sort of result. So, he's played a little bit. Last week was probably the most he's played, but it's still a work in progress with him and making sure we're careful with him.
Coach Norvell talked about Hamza today, said he practiced in some capacity. It's the first time he's said that in as many words. What have you seen from him? Obviously, I know early in the season there was optimism about him maybe getting back somewhat soon, and that hasn't been the case to date. What have you seen in just his working back and his staying at it, and how have you seen him make an impact with those young safeties while he's not able to be on the field?
Well, Kurt, injuries take all different forms, and you wish it was more cookie cutter for him because there's not one person more frustrated in the building than him, with his lack of being able to help the team physically on the football field. And I'm going to tell you guys from personal experience, he's doing everything he can right now to physically get ready. Mentally, he's been there since the day I've walked in the door. He still asks key questions in the meetings. He's the one promoting the questions with some of the younger players who are on the field right now, like a Sidney Williams, even a BG, Ray Woody, guys that are playing more football all of a sudden. He's trying to help that development. He's taking ownership of the development. And, right now it's day by day, him trying to push himself each day, seeing how that reacts, and then seeing what the next day has for himself. But he's very much a team player throughout this, even though what he's going through is very individualized with his rehab and his trying to get back on time.
All right, we're going to go to two more. Back to Aslan for one camp.
I know depth chart should be taken with a grain of salt, Coach, but I think Jaleel McCray looked like he might have swapped from weak side to middle linebacker. I don't know if he's been playing middle linebacker the whole time, but was there anything you saw specifically that you think puts Jaleel in a better position for success there? And if I was wrong about that, maybe can you talk about learning more moving the ball?
Yeah, Aslan, that's more of a product of us moving Leonard. And, we start the season and you try to say this guy will be this guy will be that, based off your history with him or lack thereof. And we go into the season and Leonard's done everything right for us. He's fought, he's given really good effort, he studies. And Steven Dix wasn't really ready. He was a true freshman. He still is. But, you know, as the season went, you know, and we've taken a picture of what it looks like. You know, we thought it was in the best interest of our defense to move Leonard down to Fox, put him closer to the ball, so his physicality and his intelligence could help us a little bit more. We thought Steven had taken the steps to have more snaps. So at that point, we needed to move Jaleel from a standpoint of just developing and try and make sure the guys that needed the reps were getting the reps. So, you know, Jaleel's played more earlier in the year. He's not where he needs to be yet. You know, the move, you know, going from Will to Mike, there's a lot of crossover there. You know, but the move of Leonard really, that precipitated us moving Jaleel from Will to Mike. You know, and then DJ Lundy's gotten the majority of all the backup reps to Emmett there at Will. So, you know, that's kind of how that all went.